Welcome to the Blind Apex Podcast, where amateur club racers tune in to get faster.
Just a heads up, my guest dropped a lot of the hotness, so much so that I need to edit out some of it. He didn't want things getting out there that he couldn't actually provide. So be prepared for some editing. Now, let's get to the show. I'm your host, Con John Turk, and this is the Blind Apex Podcast. Today's discussion is going to be on HYPERFEST. My guest today, if you've ever been to a NASA Mid-Atlantic event, he serenaded you every morning. He's the brains behind the chaos. He organizes this whole event. He's the NASA Mid-Atlantic event director. Welcome, Chris Cobetto.
Hey, Con.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Things are really good.
Good. It's 2023 is shaping up to be an interesting year. We've got, all the whole world on fire, it seems. And most of us are clinching to our passion of racing or doing time trials, HPD, those types of things, just trying to keep our sanity. One of the real influential events for me, I don't know how many years ago it is now, Chris, but was HYPERFEST. And I got a shirt. I was working turn 9 at Summit Point, because back in the day it was at Summit Point. And and it sort of stuck, and it's what really got me hooked. That event snowballed into me working in the tech shed for you and Laura. So that event really was a pinnacle for me. It really pushed me. So I wanted to talk about it because I think it's important. So what drove you to develop HYPERFEST?
Fear. So it basically was a situation where we had started NASA Mid-Atlantic, and it was actually called NASA Virginia at the time. And nobody knew who we were. All the established organizations out there, the different marquee, car clubs, as well as, pretty much the most traditional at that time road racing organization out there, they sort of had it out for us. There were some just amazing things that I saw on the forums, which was still big back then, about how NASA was terrible and that sort of thing. So I just knew that I needed to put people on the track from a business perspective, but this is not a business in which somebody's going to make a gazillion dollars. This is something you do as a passion project. And if you happen to be able to live off of it a little bit, then great. And that's kind of where we sort of find ourselves now. But, back then I just wanted to put people on the track and make sure that we could cover a lot of the costs for regular NASA events. And so that combined with the fact that, when I found out about road racing, and about the ability to go to track events was different, right? The way you found out about it was through this thing called HYPERFEST. Back then, there really wasn't that way. I mean, I got to my very first road racing event at Summit Point because of a friend of mine's dad was racing, and it was over, I think it was Labor Day. He said, "Come on up and check this out." And I had been loving cars forever, wanted to race for a long time, personally. And to me, what I saw was, at the time in the 80s, was IMSA, where you're looking at Lowenbrow and Coca-Cola, millions of dollars, right, that are getting dumped into this. And, as a kid, you're like, man, I don't know how am I going to come up with the money to be able to do this? And so that dream of being a driver just sort of kept fading as I got older. And so when I had the opportunity, I just didn't realize there was, club level type of stuff there. And so I ended up going to this event and realized that, wow, this is within grasp, and started learning more about that, about how you do track days and things like that. So when the opportunity came a few years later to run NASA. I took it, and I wanted to be able to share. I had this probably annoying quality that whenever I find something that I feel is beautiful, I can't shut up, and I want to tell everybody about it. So the HYPERFEST was really just sort of an extension in that I wanted to get people to the track, and I felt that with the way that things were going, it wasn't, in terms of attention span and in terms of the options that people had for entertainment and that sort of thing, that we had to do more than just put a race on. In the 60s, you put on a race, and that was the thing. That was the thing you were going to see. You were going to see the race. Now I felt like we had to have things that was more of an event. So you had the race that was going on, that as the sort of the centerpiece, but you had to have a whole lot of side dishes around it, so that people would want to come to the party. So that's where we sort of came up with the hyperdrives and the US drift. But really, it was designed to get people to the track, to do for others what that one experience of my friend taking me to that race had done for me, and expose them to the beauty of what we do. That's really where it came from. And that was the idea initially, is just to, let's get people to the track and get them interested and, putting their car on track.
Yeah. I think it was a couple weeks ago, Summit Point posted a picture, and you could see a bunch of cars coming down the main straight. It was, from the 60s, maybe 70s. And obviously the photographer was in turn one. And the biggest thing for me wasn't what was going on in the track or the cars on the track or how narrow the track was. I mean, I looked at that later, but you could see all the way down to turn 10. And they had a huge grandstand, and it was packed. And the only time I see that now is at HYPERFEST. It is at events like that. The regular club race doesn't bring that kind of attention like it used to. So you're right. These types of events are really big for bringing in people. And I think it's important because they're going to get exposed. You talked about bringing in US Drift. We used to have events like the rollover contest, Tony Politti every year trying to get that stupid car to roll over.
Yep.
But let's talk about the history of HYPERFEST. From what I remember, there was music, there was drifting, and there was racing. But we're sort of evolving now. So you started back, when was it? 2000, 2001? When the first HYPERFEST?
So 2002 was, it was, I think July 2002. I wish I could remember the exact date right offhand, but it was July of 2002, where we had the very first HYPERFEST ever at Summit Point. And then actually later on that same year in September, we did a HYPERFEST at Charlotte Motor Speedway, or Lowe's Motor Speedway. We did one down there as well. So really the first year we had HYPERFEST 1 and HYPERFEST 2. And, the underpinnings of it, the basics of what we are doing is to provide a show. And so the drifting is still a huge thing. We've been around now long enough that we've seen a drifter go from thing pro to retiring, right? That's how long this thing's been around. Von Gittin Jr. came out and he ran, I believe in 2001, he won, 2003, I think it was 2000, the second year. He won the US Drift Nationals, which was at Summit Point. He then went on to have a phenomenal career, still has a phenomenal career. And I think he just left competitive drifting as of 2022. But now he's at a very competitive team, and Adam LZ is part of that deal, and Chelsea Denofa is part of that deal, and so it's still very much a draw. The road racing side of it is still very much a draw, I think. But the history of HYPERFEST was to try to get that thing in us all that have an interest to give a little taste of that at HYPERFEST. You know, whether you like to do off-road stuff, whether you like the drifting stuff, whether you like the road racing, whatever it was, we wanted to have something that was there available. We wanted to do silly things with cars. So we did, it's probably the wrong term these days, but the race challenge, where, you know, we took, old Japanese cars and, turned those into a modified car that was sort of artfully destroyed with different types of coroplast and paint and things. But it was, as it developed, it was very apparent that we had something that hit a nerve with the heart and soul of people who loved cars. And I'd like to say that I meant to do that, like consciously,
Right.
But I think really we just wanted to put on something that was silly and fun that we all would like. You know, it was like, this would be fun, let's do this. This would be cool, let's do this. And I think we just got kind of lucky in that, you know, we're all car enthusiasts that do this, and the things that we would think are cool ended up being just fun and cool things for those that would come to the event. And it's just sort of evolved out of that. But as far as, you know, the history goes of HYPERFEST, we started in 2002, and we went a really good history. Since it's you, kindler and gentler, Con, I'll tell you the history about the very first HYPERFEST. So we had the idea, and I went to Summit Point, and the way that the idea came about is a gentleman by the name of Mike DeFord. Mike DeFord works for Titan Fuel Tanks right now, but at the time, Mike worked for Carlisle Shows, and he called me. He'd been from California, and so he called me one day, and he said, "Man, you don't know me, but I love NASA. I was a NASA driver in California. I saw you're the local regional director," and I was the only regional director. That was it. I mean, there was the Virginia region, which I can't remember when we turned it to Mid-Atlantic. Might have been '02. But he said, "I want you to come up to Carlisle. We've got the, not the import shows, the custom compact show. And I want you to come up to this thing, put up a booth, you know, not going to cost you anything." And so I was working another job at the time, and I said, "All right, well, that's cool." So I went up there and did that, and we just sort of developed a friendship, and we started spitballing ideas back and forth how it'd be cool if we could take the success of that sport compact car show that Carlisle had and lay it down over a road racing weekend. So we just started firing up ideas, and next thing you know, we're like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's approach Summit Point. So we approached Summit Point with the idea. Bill Scott, God rest his soul, I love that guy. He was the owner of Summit Point. He was a phenomenal road racer. He was a fun guy, and really good soul, and an enthusiast for the sport, not only for the pro guys, but for all of us that had this affliction, you know, that we wanted to go out. So we took the idea to him, and we kind of went back and forth with the idea. There was somebody that was working for him that said, "Hey, we just think we can do it ourselves," after we had taken the idea. And so I was like, "Oh crap, I knew this was a good idea." And so I wanted to make sure that we were part of the idea that we had actually done. So turns out that in that interim, I had been talking to a guy in Canada who had a formula car, so an open wheel series that was using Chevy 5-liter motors. And it was called Formula 5000 out of Canada. Well, this guy loved the HYPERFEST idea. Hey, we're getting the young people involved, all the rest, that kind of thing. So made a deal with him that he would buy his spot to run those cars, and we would provide all of this at this venue for $25,000. Signed a contract, and that contract had gotten signed in between the time that Summit Point was deciding that they had listened to us and they wanted to do it on their own. So I talked to the representative for some point. It wasn't Bill. And because I knew that I had $25,000 in my pocket, I said to this guy, I said, look, I will guarantee you $25,000 if you keep us as part of the program. So we established, they said yes, and we established that deal. And I said, all right, well, that's, you know what? It's not going to cost me anything to explore my dream and the idea that Mike and I had come up with, Mike DeFord from Carlisle. And so the guy sent me an $8,000 deposit from Canada, and off we went. Well, the closer we got to the event, and we'd marketed that these things were coming down here, the closer we got to the event, he became less and less contactable. And to the point where it was 2 weeks before the event, and the term today is ghosting. I don't think that was the term back then, but that's exactly what was happening to me. And so here I had promised $25,000 to Summit Point before anything, guaranteed. I started to pay, by the way, I started to rent the track. I started to write a check to rent the track. This was on top of it. And he ghosted, and I had to show up for that event. And I remember that the first thing the representative from Summit Point did is like, hey, how you doing? It's good to see you. How's everything going? You know, the preparation's going well. Okay, there's this matter of a check. And I had to stroke a check for $25,000, 17 of which was coming out of my pocket.
Right. So
that's how the very first HYPERFEST actually came to be.
That's wild.
Yeah. So we thought we were going to have 20,000 people. You know, for the first event, we had 800. So, you know, was still actually pretty good, actually. But that's the history of the first one. That's the first time I've ever told that story publicly. But I truly believed in what we were doing, and I felt that it was good for the community. I felt that it was these types of events, these ones that have all of this stuff going on as a periphery to the road racing, that was going to get people to the track and expose them to this wonderful, beautiful sport that I loved. And so yeah, man, when you're young and you don't have any kids yet, you can roll the dice. Actually, we did have.
I'm old and don't have kids, so I'm old and don't have kids, but I have a race car, and that's the important part. I want to rewind a little bit because you said you did 2 HYPERFESTs in the first year. You still tried to pull a second HYPERFEST off after that Summit Point experience?
Correct. Yep. Yeah. Yep. We'd have been very fortunate.
I'm going to assume the deal was different.
The deal was different. Yeah. I mean, it was, it was an event. So the way that this is old stuff here, man. But so NASA had created a series with, they had created a partnership with a series of these Legends cars, right? So the Legends cars were created by 600 Racing, which is down in Charlotte. They were I'm not exactly sure the actual relationship, but they had a very close relationship with Charlotte Motor Speedway. Gentleman at the time was named Bruton. There's Bruton Parrish and or Bruton Smith. Bruton Smith and oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank of the other gentleman's name. Humpy Wheeler. That's right, Humpy Wheeler. So those guys owned Lowe's Motor Speedway. I think I'm getting the history right on that. But they ended up opening this. They said, hey, we want to have these. They built our own cars. They built the Legends cars and the Thunder Roadsters. The president of that company, 600 Racing, and Inex. Okay, Inex was actually the producer of the cars. The sanctioning body for those cars was a guy named Richard Burke. Richard Burke is one of the finest individuals ever. Really, really nice guy. But I called him, and he really liked NASA, and he really liked the fact that we were pushing, helping them to really push the legends to go road racing. And so he and I developed a really good relationship. And I called him and said, look, I had this HYPERFEST thing. He loved the idea. And so he was able, it was very difficult to get Lowe's Motor Speedway. It's still hard to get Lowe's Motor Speedway. So he was able to put us with the right people, convince everybody that this kind of event is what we needed to, market and promote road racing. And of course, legends within that. And we had a special race for the legends, that were there. We had marked those guys out for their own race. And that's kind of how that relationship happened. We went down there and we had Lowe's Motor Speedway and we ran the event down there. It was a challenge because at Lowe's Motor Speedway, and most people don't know this, you can't run before noon. You can't run unmuffled cars before noon. So we couldn't do any racing before, noon. We'd run HPD stuff before noon, which provides a bit of a logistical challenge. But anyway, that's how we ended up with a second HYPERFEST on that same year. Is because we felt that, we could do it down there. Interestingly enough, a gentleman by the name of Kevin Helms, I think.
Yes, I do. I'm trying to get him on.
So Kevin, the very first road racing or road course event he ever did was that HYPERFEST at Lowe's Motor Speedway in 2002. Okay. And he went on to win Honda Challenge National Championship in that class. I think at least once.
Yep. Yeah, at least once. He's causing a stir these days in his old age. That Civic Type R.
He's causing a stir. I'm glad to see what's happening. It'll be fun to see him back at HYPERFEST. So, yeah, absolutely. Man, 23 years ago, Kevin was cranking. But it kind of worked, the goal was to bring this out and show people that it existed and then give a venue where they could play.
So I'm going to implore you to do another multi-HYPERFEST year, maybe 2024, 2025. Can we do that? You're graying enough already. You won't notice anymore from the stress.
So we are building an excellent team. Okay. And just like you build a car, you run it at your local track to test it out. And then you decide to go take it other places. So 2024, I think that, you may be happily surprised.
Okay. All right. You let me know how I can help. Yeah. Well, I understood what you were saying.
That's good. I will tell you that it will, the second one will be on the East Coast.
Okay.
And if it all works out, it'll be on the East Coast. And it will be within reach of much of the East Coast population.
All right. That sounds like a good idea. I love it. I love the idea. I think I see you at those events. I know the work that you and Laura put in, because it's all over your face. By Saturday night, you guys look wiped out and you still have a day to go, plus packing and all the teardown. But I know as a racer, now as a racer, because it took me years, but now as a racer, having folks walking through the paddock, interacting with them, they go, "Oh, I have one of these. How do I get out on track?" You're sending those new people right into the wheelhouse. All of us will preach the gospel for you, and hopefully it works. Hopefully we can keep building it, because I think growing our sport, it does nothing but good for everyone. And I think holding more than one a year would be helpful. So
I agree. Oh, and we're also looking at creating some alliances with, some other organizations that maybe are kind of a different level than what NASA is in general. And we're also looking at establishing a way, a competitive series that will be, I think, beneficial to a lot of drivers out there. There's a lot of stuff in the works that is going to be, I think, beneficial to the sport. And the thing is that if you look at, like say the 24 Hours of Daytona, they had a record attendance this year.
They did.
I mean, record for the history of the event, including going back into the 80s and the 70s. I mean, that's a pretty substantial thing. So I think that I'd like to believe that, you know, we got this whole thing started 20 years ago, but I think that we helped. I think that there are a lot of places that helped, and I just think that the overall nature of car enthusiasm lends itself right now to doing road racing. I mean, if you go back to, you know, Forza and you know, a lot of the video games, you know, the kids that I say the kids, you know, the kids that have been playing those things since, you know, the late 90s all through the 2000s. That's all road racing based. You know, it's all road course stuff, whether it's rally or going on streets or whatever it is. It's all left and right, up and down hills. And I think that is inside of people. And when they want to have an opportunity to do it for real, this is where they can come.
Yeah. And just if there's any noobs out there listening right now, you just need a safe car. You need good tires. And by good, I mean with tread on them. Maybe brake pads, and then flush your brake fluid or put good brake fluid in and then come out. I've seen guys out there in their little, you know, like their mom's Camry, you know, and they get bit. The go fast crack pipe burns their lips and they're hooked, you know. It doesn't take much. You don't have to bring big wings and splitters and all that stuff. You can work your way there. So just come out, come have fun. And speaking of having fun.
No question.
Yeah, let's go. What question do you have?
Oh, no. I was just saying, you know, that was one of the things that we wanted to try to make it accessible for everybody. And so just like, you know, Kevin Helms started out at a hyperdrive. You know, when we did the event, it's not just a matter of being able to come out and observe what's going on. You know, I remember being a kid going to museums, and the museums, you know, no touch. You can't touch anything. Well, for somebody like us, you know, if there's a red button in front of me, I am going to flip out until I can press that red button, or at least I know what's going to happen.
Yep.
I want to touch stuff. Okay. We are all visceral and tactile. And that's what I wanted to make sure that HYPERFEST was from the very beginning is that it was participatory, you know, and so we came up with a thing called Hyperdrives, which was a taste test of a weekend long HPDE. So for those that aren't familiar, high performance drivers events, that was by the way, that term, that HPDE is a NASA term. There are a lot of other organizations that use that now, you know, kind of like Kleenex or Xerox, you know, but the HPDE program, you know, we did them for a weekend. And so at the time, I think it was about $250 that you had to do a weekend. And so for anybody that was in a Honda or a Celica or something like that, you know, had some fun parts on it, that was a difficult thing to budget for a weekend, not knowing. And I said, you know, we've got to make this so that it's so inexpensive that it's low impact on somebody's wallet. It's also low impact on the car. One 20-minute session for $40 called Hyperdrives, and people can get out on the track and really experience what this is like. Because I knew as soon as we got them on the track, they'd want to do it again and again and come back to a regular NASA event, you know, after the HYPERFEST took place. So the Hyperdrives, we did that. We wanted to give race car ride-alongs. We did ride-alongs with some of the BSR Bill Scott racing instructors, the guys that do a lot of the training for State Department and things like that. So they had Crown Vics or those old big whale Caprices, and we gave them rides. They do J turns and do 360s out on the track, skid pad time, that sort of thing. So we really wanted to make sure that people got an opportunity to not only just watch what's going on, but we wanted to have somebody, if they were in the stands, to be able to say, wow, that looks like fun. I really want to do it, and be able to come out of the stands, go register for Hyperdrive, go grab their car out of general parking, make sure it goes through a tech. We put an instructor in the car, and they get to go out there and experience, what's going on. Because I want to be able to touch things. Being a spectator is wonderful, and that's fine. But if there is a person that wanted to go play, personally wanted to be able to offer that opportunity to them.
Yeah, but we live in 2023 now, and if you want a hyperdrive, I implore you to sign up early, because they probably will sell out. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're not for sale yet. Now, maybe by the time you air this, they probably will be, actually.
Yeah. So you locked up a little bit, but we'll figure that out. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So,
can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you all right. So let's fast forward to 2023 and this year's HYPERFEST, because we have a lot of featured attractions on the website. So you mentioned the hyperdrives. I'm not even sure they're on here. The list is so long, it's going to be hard for me to scan. I don't see them on here. So maybe we should add that to the website, Chris. But one of my favorite things that is on here is the Coney Power Wheels Attack. I do have a top secret build in progress. I do have partners assigned, and if there's a rule book, I won't be reading it. So, insert major technical difficulty here. We had to revise and get back to the podcast. So, sorry about that. All right. So, we were talking about hyperdrives, and I was going to fast forward you to 2023, because I look at the list and there's over a dozen, what are they called? Featured attractions. Hyperdrive's not on there. And again, if it got cut off, we need to make sure that you guys sign up early, because they will sell out for hyperdrives. But I wanted to talk about what's going on this year. And one of my favorite featured attractions is the Coney Power Wheels Attack. Now, I have a top secret build going on. I have partners. If you guys produce a rule book, I'm not going to read it. So I'm just warning you. I'm warning you now. So
tech tends to be a little bit
loose,
lenient.
Yeah, it's pretty loose. I won't cheat, but I know a couple of years ago when I did it, there was a concourse, and I'm definitely winning the concourse. Well, maybe not, but I'm going to try. So that may force me to skate some of the other rules, right? Like no batteries. Well, I might need a battery this year, so we'll see. But that one's always fun.
Well, the battery, technically the battery can't power anything.
Okay. We'll see about that. But rules are rules. Well, maybe they'll make me unplug it. So the Coney Power Wheels Attack, I'll explain it because I love it so much, is if you've never been to Virginia International Raceway, which will be hosting this year's HYPERFEST, the Coney Power Wheels Attack, You go down what we call the roller coaster. If you don't know what the roller coaster is, you just go to YouTube. You search VIR roller coaster, and you will see what racers roll down or drive down, and you will be rolling down. And I promise you, it's way faster than you think. So that's always an exciting one for me. I think you guys get the fans involved now. They're throwing water balloons and stuff last year. So that'll be pretty interesting. It's always a good time. But the number one thing on the list is your drift bash. Is that still with US Drift? They're still coming out after all these years?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. US Drift and HYPERFEST are linked at the hip forever.
Okay. Well, that's good because it says there's ride-alongs. There's games and demonstrations that are going to happen. So that should be an interesting time. One of the downfalls of HYPERFEST, Chris, is as a racer, I don't get to see all this stuff. So somehow I have to be in two places at once. So
it can be a challenge to manage schedule. There's no doubt about that. But, you're on track for what? You're on track 3 times, and those that have cars that don't break on a regular basis have a little easier time because they're not work cars. They come off the track, get out of their suit, go hang out and watch some of the drifting demonstrations, and then just jump back in the car.
Yeah, somebody needs to fix my car then because it's reliable, but it's not that reliable. It's better than the old car. We're working on it. There is a car show every year, just like from the original one, right? You guys still carry that tradition on. That's a pretty big event. I don't know. Do you guys hand out trophies and stuff for the car show?
We do. We partner with a company called Speed Trend Society, and really great guys. We basically say, here's the section of here's a footprint on the field that you're going to need, and they really handle all the. We'll take the registrations to the website, but aside from that, we hand them a list of all those people that have registered, and they're the ones who are they go out there and they handle the car show, and it's good. We get some wonderful car shows. They have some really, really good trophies, the classing, I think, is very well received from the car show community. I don't know that much about the car show specific community, but my job as the director of this thing, is more from the road racing. I'm the road racer guy. That's what I love. Dig drifting. I love all of it. I think it's all really cool. I just know more personally about the road racing side, but I've been very fortunate to, talking about the events that are going on. We have a whole side that we call, Dirt World, right? And and that's great. We have three different courses, actually 5 really. There are 2 obstacle courses. There's kind of a higher speed ride course. There are 2 rally courses, and so whether you're side by side, UTVs, rally car, you want to have your Jeep crawl over rocks at 2 miles an hour, or you want to go for an adrenaline thrill ride in a just crazily built Raptor, and go over sort of yumps and things like that. You do that with the guys over at Chaos Fabrication, and it's just a blast. You have so much fun, and those guys handle that. Sarek, we have Ralph Sarek from Sarek Auto Works, and he'll be handling the obstacle courses up there, which Maxis has signed on. They're a partner for this year, a brand new partner, and so they'll be up there on the obstacle courses. As well as potentially you might have a suspension company that is very familiar with HYPERFEST. They may be up there as well, but that we have a lot going on. It's the idea is that we want anybody that derives adrenaline from 4 wheels to be able to have some place to play. So that whole off-road side is building. Warren Winches is another very valued partner that's here. BF Goodrich is a very valued partner. Maxis is a new partner as well for that, as well as Nitto. And so, Exity Clutches is with on the rally side. Tire Streets will be out on the dirt world. And we have a variety of other people that are wanting to participate in the event as well. The Power Wheels Downhill, that's a fun thing. The Burnout Contest, the Motul Burnout Contest is something that is a staple and is a great spectacle. Cool thing that we will be live streaming the Coney Power Wheels race this year, as well as the Burnout Contest, as well as some other features of the event. And we may have a few more things that we're live streaming as well. Working on that right now. But yeah, I mean, people can come out and they can play. They can do the Power Wheels. That's something that everybody can do. It doesn't cost anything to do it. What other things that are going on? Of course, we have the drift. The pro guys are coming out. Vaughn Gittin Jr. and Adam LZ will be back, and Chelsea Denofa, and they'll be giving rides, as well as a big variety of pro drivers that are maybe not of the same name as Chelsea Denofa, but just very good drivers that can come out and give rides. The drifting, when we opened up the Drift Bash, we had 90 slots for them, and it sold out in 20 minutes. Those 90 slots went away in 20 minutes. So, that's just a great thing to watch.
Yeah.
The road racing side, we have, then we've got drifting demonstrations on the skid pad. It's, car show. There's so much, there's just so much. There's so many things.
There's a lot
it's hard
on.
To keep up with. But yeah, you're not going to get bored. We try to make it kind of like, Disney World, where you probably, if you want to see everything, you're probably going to have to make a few trips there.
When are we going to live stream our road racing, Chris? That everybody wants to know.
Working on that.
Okay.
I know.
So
trust me. Trust me. I know. And
I have family across the globe.
I'm working on it.
And every year they always want to know when the live stream's happening. So I'm trying to work out a deal to get a system in my car to live stream all the time. So we'll see if I can figure that out. They're quite expensive. So
yeah, I was talking to somebody about that today, actually, as part of this research, and I want to say that it's in like the $4,000 to $5,000 range. Plus, then you have to have a subscription.
Yeah, you can do it. Well, I don't know. Is that per car or per event for you?
That was per car. That's what I heard per car. Yeah.
So I had a conversation that will probably release before this with Peter Krause. And he has a system or promotes a system that's in that price range. There's another system that I'm looking at that's in the $2,000 range, but it requires data. So you have to supply the data plan with, so you need a hotspot basically in your race car. So you need to figure that part out.
Yeah.
So there's an additional cost. There's no way to live stream without the internet. Somehow you have to get internet in your car. It's going to cost money every month for internet, period. It's just how it works. So in the world of subscriptions and service plans, it would just be an additional one. But yeah, everybody asks for it, but they don't understand the undertaking that has to occur. Pretty big. Bringing in a company that would do it costs a lot of money. So they have a lot of infrastructure that they're bringing. You're talking, like you said, $5,000 a car. They got to make that back somewhere, right? So it gets pretty expensive.
Well, right. What I meant was, the kind of the standalone kind of stuff like that you're talking about. You can live stream yourself. Doing that, is one thing. But when you have to, when you're putting static cameras, cameramen, drones, instructors, you have to connect it all into a live feed, or not instructors,
Right.
but
Production studio.
directors. Like, you've got a director, and you have, whatchamacallit, announcers. You have to have good announcers. I mean, to put something on that is compelling and that people want to watch. Again, it has to be entertaining to a certain extent.
Yeah, definitely.
So, luckily, I think when it comes to this, you don't necessarily have to have a production value that maybe NBC has. You can have a slightly less quality. Luckily, the technology says that the quality isn't that much different, but you can get away with some things because I think the audience, they understand that these are sort of amateurs, and the idea that we want to put across is that you can do this too. And so where the pro stuff, there's a barrier that exists. It's almost an invisible membrane that kind of is there. And I don't think the pro stuff, they try to do this at all. They try to be very inclusive, and I know a lot of those people, they're very inclusive. But I think to a certain extent, is if you're looking at somebody who is a weekend warrior, if you're looking at a Con Turk out there in his Honda, you can more easily relate to you than you can to, say, one of the pro drivers in IMSA or SRO, because it's a car that, if I work really hard, if I save my money, if I eat ramen, if I do a lot of the work myself, if I learn, I can put these cars together and I can go do this myself. There's more of a connection, I think, between the enthusiast that maybe thinks they can do that in a Con Turk than there is maybe between that person and a Spencer Pumpelly. And Spencer's great. I mean, I love it. And I don't mean to signal him out, but I mean, Spencer's awesome. But there's a big jump between what we do and what the guys do 24 hours a day.
In budget alone, their Daytona budget by itself could fund most of my whole race class probably for the year.
I would say that, yes, if you had to buy a seat at Daytona in one of the upper level classes, you could probably field the entire budget for all of all of Honda NASA Mid-Atlantic Honda Challenge for the entire season. Yeah, and probably has money over for a pretty good cheeseburger.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've talked to them, but they're pretty expensive. So some of us are cheaper than others. So, each race program costs a little different. But so the other thing that's noted, because you can hear it all night, assuming you're close enough, is Club HYPERFEST. Do we have anybody signed up yet that you're willing to divulge?
You're talking about as far as an artist goes?
Yes.
I could.
You don't have to spill the beans early.
I don't know. I don't even right now. My music, I have a gentleman that handles all the music side of it. Right. I can tell you that the production is going to be a lot bigger. The individual that is coming out is going to be as good, if not better, than who was in there last year. Our goal isn't necessarily at this point to make an event about coming to see a specific name. The goal is to have a fundamentally wonderful experience from the time you wake up in the morning until the time that you're done dancing at Club HYPERFEST, to make sure you have a kick butt DJ that's there. We will have some live bands, is what we're working on. But in that, we're not quite to where we could have Man, I'm old. I'm 56 years old. Like to me, if I could have U2 out there, that's a big name, but the EDM stuff, I don't know that. I give that over to younger people who know that stuff and know who's cool, and I'm very happy to make sure that they're having fun. To me, it's just a matter of having fun. If you own a restaurant, you may not like everything on your menu personally, but you do everything, you put it on there because the audience wants to enjoy it. So, yeah, I don't know, man. If I knew, I'd tell you. I'm not even sure who it is. I don't even know if we, who we've signed at this point. But it'll be a party. I can tell you that. It's going to be, it will be bigger. Everything. The production will be bigger. The sound will be bigger. Lasers will be bigger. Smoke machines will be bigger. Budget is bigger. It's going to be a blast, though.
All right. Well, it always sounds like fun. I'm usually too tired and working on hydrating and then dehydrating myself to make it over there. Plus, I'm not.
That's why we have Monster as a sponsor, dude. Monster, one of our partners. You can find all kinds of cans of Monster around there, especially up at that party because there's no excuse. Plenty of Monster.
Yeah. Okay. For the younger folks, I'm younger than you, but old enough to not do Monster in the evenings anymore. So,
right. That's they do help me though. That was in the morning.
In the morning,
quite a bit. Get like you
yes.
say. Yeah.
Not at night. I'm not young enough for that anymore. Another couple of items that are on here that I see that if my car breaks on Saturday, God forbid, I may have to enter the hot pepper eating contest. Is that still going to occur?
Oh yeah, that's absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
because I remember it from
too bad. So
yeah, that's been around a while, like a long while.
Oh, it's since the very first HYPERFEST. Done it every year.
Yeah. Okay.
Except the first year we used habaneros.
Yes.
And it was pretty brutal. I mean, we had guys up there. It was just, eating these habaneros, they were involuntarily, it was just liquid coming out of, every forward orifice on their face. And Laura felt so bad. That particular year, right beside the stage was one of the vendors was a milkshake place. Oh. And, so Laura's over there. There were probably about 5 or 6 competitors that were doing this. And Laura's just, please give me milkshakes. And she's just shoving milkshakes at these guys to try to make it a little better for them. Yeah. So we took pity. Following year, we went to jalapenos, right?
Okay.
And they can be pretty hot. Jalapenos are a little, you don't know. Sometimes you're like, holy smokes, and then the other time it's like a regular pepper, so you don't really know. But
yeah.
Typically during that period of time, they're hot, and so we do the pepper eating contest with jalapenos. However, what we do is we make the person eat a jalapeno, and then there's a 60-second delay. So they have to sit there for 60 seconds. So it's basically 2 starts. We start them, they have to eat 1 pepper, you wait 60 seconds, and then they start eating the rest of the peppers. The goal there, and this is a little torturous, is that the heat, that 60 seconds gives the heat an opportunity to find its way.
Yeah,
so
it takes hold of you.
And then they eat the jalapenos. What's that?
It takes a hold of you, and then you have to eat other stuff.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. And then if we have a tiebreaker, the tiebreaker is that's when we pull out the habanero hot sauce. And then you get a plate of more jalapenos, but with a dousing of habanero hot sauce.
All right. That looks good to me. I am trying to figure out what is left because I was on Facebook, and at the time of this recording, which is in early February, there are people not complaining. Let me rephrase that. There are people saying that the on-track camping passes, not on-track, the close to the track camping passes are already sold out.
The trackside, but it's trackside camping passes.
Yeah, because it's not even an option.
Keep in mind
right now.
that, I mean, no, the trackside isn't. Most of the trackside stuff is sold, but the reality is that the trackside stuff is literally right up against the fence. You can get a space, and it's still. I mean, just about everything is technically trackside. It's either trackside or extreme trackside. We just sort of call it trackside, but yeah, all that stuff sold out pretty quickly.
Yeah,
need to bring up prices on those, I guess.
Maybe. I see there is camping available. Still, car camping and RV passes are available. General admission is still wide open. Active military, major discount for active military. Kids 12 and under.
Yeah, it's active military is free.
Yes, active military is free. Them. Yes. Thank you for your service, man.
Yes, we love those guys. They can come in, they can have some fun. We can give something back to those guys and make their lives fun for a couple of days or a few hours even. We're happy to do it. And even the veterans, the veterans get half off and of the tickets. So yeah, I mean I really, really have a huge respect for all military and all of those who've served. And so and VIR is the same way. We are very much allied in this. We want to make sure those guys come out and they can have fun.
Also, it's a family affair, so kids 12 and under, they're free too. So, don't forget your children.
Sure.
Yep. Start them young. It's the only appropriate way to do this. Bring them to the racetrack so they can dream about racing their cars in the future.
Well, the nice thing is they get an opportunity to see. It's a spot where they can go see some of their heroes. I mean, if they really like Adam LZ or they really like Von Gittin Jr.
Everyone comes to see Honda
Casey.
Challenge, Chris.
Oh, my apologies. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I meant to say the big heroes and they're coming to see the epic battles between Con Kunturk and Michael Young.
Yes. Yeah, they're epic. You have to watch them. Actually, what's hilarious is I think last year I jumped in and I guess the people who are in that thread on Facebook or whatever, they were big drifters. And I was like, but what about the racing? And they were like, racing happens? Like, oh, guys, come on. But everybody has their home. So it wasn't their home. Racing wasn't their home. Drifting was their home. So there's a home for everybody, right? Like you said earlier, the rock crawler guys, the side-by-side guys. Are we going to have the lawnmower races again? Because those looked hilarious the last time I saw them. And,
God, I want to, and those guys are great. And it's just a matter of trying to find a spot for them to
safely
run.
operate.
It's a very large footprint, and I really would like to bring those guys back. They're just such nice guys, and it's a really, really entertaining thing to watch. But when we didn't sell out camping, we had some space available, and we kind of had to make space to bring all those guys in. So I wanted to run them on the bowl, but they can't run on asphalt. They have to run on dirt. And they need that slip. They need the slip of the grass. But if not, man, I really want to put those guys on the skid pad or on where the burnout contest is. That circle.
Right. Yeah.
That would be great.
Yeah, that would be hilarious. We couldn't wet it down.
I'll tell you what I'm looking for. If you know this, because you're a motorcycle guy, you know the guys that race the little miniature pocket bikes?
Yes.
I would love to bring those guys out and put a race out on the skid pad and have those guys run.
Okay. I'll reach out to the guys I know that used to race them or currently maybe racing them still. And I will put them in contact with you. If you could
give me some information on how to set that up, I'd love to. I think that'd be a fun thing.
Oh yeah. I think it'd be, and they're probably pretty familiar with VIR. So when you talk to them, they'll understand because they don't only race those little bikes. So awesome. So Chris, is there anything else you want to tell us about HYPERFEST this year or in general?
Well, get your tickets early. We have more right now. We are well above 2022 numbers, which were well above 2021 numbers in October. I would highly suggest getting in there and get your camping. If you can, come down on Friday morning. Enjoy Friday. We're working on a few things. I hate to release it or to tell you on the podcast, but
this is the point in the podcast where I had to get a little creative. Chris spilled the beans, and I cannot release it to the public. What I can tell you is you should come to HYPERFEST so you can blame Chris in person. And if he's able to pull this off, it's going to be a heck of a time. Really. It's some juicy bits. I really hope he gets to pull it off because I want to participate and I want to have a good time. So without that, let's get back to the show.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. I mean, there's a lot of other stuff. We're working on a lot of things. I wish I knew more, which I feel I can tell you more. In a month, I could probably give you a whole lot more. Hey, this is new coming for this year. But, a lot of these things, you just want to make sure that you can put them together before you put it out there officially.
Oh yeah.
So it's gonna be good, man. There's a lot of really good stuff that we'll be doing.
So I don't know if you know off the top of your head, but do ticket prices increase after the number of sales or the date on the calendar?
So it is both. So if it hits the number, it just automatically will go. That tier is gone and it'll go up. Once we get to a certain time frame, then it'll change. It's kind of like the airlines,
Right.
Buy early, you get a cheaper ticket. You wait until the event or closer to it, and that's not killer. You pay an extra $15 or something like that.
Clear your calendars,
but
folks.
It still behooves people to pick it up now. Yeah, right now the tickets are $75. If they wait until right at the event, they're going to pay another $25 or $30 for the general admission ticket.
Okay. Yeah, that's important for folks to know. Buy now. Just buy it, take the time off, schedule it, put it on the calendar. My wife and I have a shared calendar. My entire race season goes on there as soon as it gets released. So she can't cloud it up with things like hiking and backpacking and things like that. So,
right.
All right.
Smart man.
Yeah. Well, she does it for me. And then she goes, well, you don't have a race this weekend or that weekend or that weekend. So it works both ways. So, but get HYPERFEST on your calendar, folks. I think that's going to wrap it up. Chris, do you, folks need to go to hyper-fest.com, right? I believe that's the website.
Correct.
Yep. Go to hyper-fest.com. That's where you're going to find your tickets. Get them there. It's been a pleasure, Chris. I'm sure we'll talk about other things in the future. Any topic you want, you're always welcome to come on. And I will see you in 6 weeks-ish when we start racing in March.
Sounds about right. Sounds good, man. Always a pleasure to see the kindler and gentler Con.
Yeah, kinder and gentler. Yes.
Until next time, keep working on yourself, keep working on the car, and let's get faster.